Hello, this week we're going to be talking primarily about acting. Acting is really at the heart of theater. There's a lot of other things, of course, that we've talked about that go on in the theater, but the most important relationship, the key thing that's going on is the relationship between the actors and the audience. So even though actors don't come into a process of a play until really quite late in the process, you've got to have someone write the play, then a director choose it, and then designers work on it. So they don't come in until really quite late in the process. However, they're the most important in the sense that they're the ones that make connections with the audience. Now, there are two basic approaches to acting that we're going to talk about, internal and external. The internal approach to acting is a very psychological approach. It's building the character from the inside out, feeling the way the character feels in order to develop a performance. Now, this is really the approach, at least the American understanding of the approach, of the Russian acting teacher Konstantin Stanislavski, who you're going to read about this week. And most modern realistic acting is really heavily based on the work of Stanislavski and this psychological, motivated approach to acting, starting internally, thinking about the feelings and motivations of the character in order to build your performance. Now, an external approach really flips that around and says build the character from the outside in. Think about what the character looks like. Think about the gestures that the character makes and the facial expressions and the body language. Think about the costume and the makeup that the character wears. People who take an external approach are much more interested in getting into costume and getting into makeup and letting that help them understand the character. So it's a very different approach. The other video that you're going to watch this week about acting really focuses on Stanislavski and his approach and his development of his techniques. And it really takes the opinion that he sort of perfected acting. It seems to take that approach. It's a good video to talk about acting, but I'm going to take issue with the idea that internal, motivated, psychological, or Stanislavskian acting techniques are really the final word and what it means to be a good actor. It's just one of many different techniques. Theater, as we know it, has been going on for thousands of years. Stanislavski lived about 100 years ago. So to take the approach that 100 years ago people finally figured out how to be good actors is pretty silly. Do the reading, look at the video, and we are focusing still on realism and realistic acting styles. We'll get into non-realistic styles later. The other thing we're going to look at this week is production concept. This is really going to be important for your final project, and it really gets into style. So read the reading about production concept. It's a metaphor that helps to express the goals of the production team for a given production of a play. So do that reading, participate in the discussion, and I'll be in touch.